Hello everyone, welcome back to another A Winner Is You podcast. This week we've dusted down the Xbox, dragged out the Mjolnir powered assault armour and donned the Spartan helmets, ready to bring you a deep dive of chat into Bungie's 2004 first person shooter Halo 2. Alex, how are you today? Again, this feels like I've not podcasted in about 6 years. This feels.
We should really have conversations in the normal space of time and not just over a podcast.
Well, I suppose we do. It's
they're just all text based, aren't they? Every day, rather than actual. I mean, I don't have actual vocal conversations with many of my friends at all anymore. So this is it's a good way to maintain friendships. Everybody, start a podcast
and talk about video games for a while.
Yeah.
Talking about that. So I randomly put up so I've been using Threads again. I deleted my Twitter account once more.
That was long.
Yeah,
that was since the last podcast. I think that's been and gone.
I think an American election has happened since then. So I just cannot do this. I'm out. So randomly, was it yesterday? It just started snowing, and then I was just walking down the street in the blizzard, thinking, I am not emotional. I think I have this conversation with you every single year, but every year I get less and less emotionally and physically equipped to deal with the cold and the snow. So I just took a picture of the snow, put it on Threads, and said, I am not emotionally ready to deal with the snow, Scotland. And apparently, the holy grail of Threads is to mention the word Scotland and to mention the word snow. So I have currently sitting, and it's still going. I've since done, I'm going to run through this. I've got 132 likes, which is for me is absolutely insane. And in amongst that, I have been asked why I moved to Scotland if I didn't like the cold.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I have been told to get out of Scotland because I'm not welcome if I don't like the cold. I don't know why people automatically think that I'm not Scottish.
No true Scotsman would complain about the cold.
Apparently.
That's it.
So I was like, right. How are these what is it that just because I've got 55 followers in Threads, and I was like, what is it about this that made it go wild? So I just put another picture up of the snow and mentioned the word Scotland and snow again, which then took off to 177 likes. The abuse continued. And I was like, what is going on here? So again, I did another one when I was out walking the dogs 17 minutes ago, which is now up to 77 likes. So yeah, if you I don't know.
I hope the next one you just do just says Scotland snow, and then I'm going
to do that. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to put a thread up saying all these people interested in my Scottish views are going to be very disappointed when they find out I'm just a video game nerd.
Oh, Threads, you twat.
Social media subject. Anyway, how are you today, Alex? Are you ready to head back to the ring?
Sure. Yeah. Less ready than I was when we started.
Yeah.
Heading back to the ring. But I'm all right. We're obviously doing a podcast today about one of the most iconic video game characters of all time, and it just so happens that I was alerted to something that happened back in April on Reddit this morning. It was posted on the Yakuza Games subreddit because it involves Kiryu. But did you know that back in April
of 2024,
BAFTA polled apparently for about over 4,000 IGN readers to ask the most iconic.
First mistake.
Yeah, exactly. To list or vote for the most iconic video game characters of all time.
I think I know who won this.
Of course, this was utterly wrong. From basically 20 up to 1. Completely fucking wrong.
The one that some particular female got voted most iconic video game character of all time, which is just ludicrous. Yeah, right, okay.
They're just absolutely wrong. But let's go through it and we'll attack it together because I'm ready. If this will come off as everybody is stupid except us, but you'll have needed to have listened to just one of these episodes previously to know that that's basically the whole reason we do this.
Yeah.
So, welcome to A Winner Is You. Everybody is stupid except us, especially IGN readers, who apparently mostly consist of people who work for Larian, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
Number 20 is Nathan Drake.
Okay.
Number 19
is hard because like I would be willing to bet the age range of an IGN reader skews low, and it's been a while since Master Chief was like in his pomp, right?
I suppose so.
Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, number 19. Oh, I tell you what, let me rattle through it and then we'll go back and discuss things that jump out. So 19, Ellie from The Last of Us.
Okay.
18, Kiryu from Yakuza.
Okay.
17, this is this makes me sick, is Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3.
Fuck off.
16, Cloud.
How can no?
Yeah. 16, Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy 7. 15, Crash Bandicoot. 14, Solid Snake. And there was a very funny thing where there was a picture that IGN put out where they had Solid Snake in there and it wasn't Solid Snake. It was like Big Boss or something. But anyway.
Yeah, of course it was.
13, Steve from Minecraft. And I feel sick for having to say this, but I think that's too low. But we'll come back to that. 12, absolutely too low, Pikachu. Yeah. 11, Arthur Morgan.
Okay.
10, something
called
Shadowheart from Baldur's Gate 3, which is unacceptable.
That's
9.
A chick. Yeah, she's weird. But yeah.
Yeah. 9, Kratos, God of War. 8 is our boy Master Chief from today's episode.
Right.
7, Link. 6, Pac-Man. 5, Sackboy.
What? I mean,
4.
We're talking about how long it's been since Master Chief was relevant. Holy fuck.
4, Sonic. 3, Agent 47.
What?
2, Mario. He's not number 1. And number 1, Lara Croft, who I don't even know when the last Tomb Raider game was, but I'm going to bet it's at least 8 years ago.
No, and it went full Ubisoft. I know it's not a game by Ubisoft, but it went full Ubisoft and just like map vomit the game.
Yeah.
Collectible
so that's
map vomit. That's mental.
Yes,
like, some of
that
those
is
are just like
so wrong.
It's just all over the show.
BAFTA should have been embarrassed to put that out and put their name to it. They should have retracted everything the moment any Baldur's Gate 3 character got. Who the fuck knows anyone from Baldur's Gate who hasn't played it this or last year?
That's
not iconic.
It's not iconic.
Yeah.
It's like, do you remember when...
I've never heard of them.
Oh, Sleeping Dogs 2 came out and is like a special edition you could buy. The main character, who I don't even know his name.
Oh no, you mean not Sleeping Dogs. You mean Watch Dogs.
Yes, and you could buy his iconic
Aiden Pierce.
jacket. Yeah. There's nothing iconic about him or that jacket.
I just want to reiterate the fact that there are 2 characters from 2023 Nerd Geek RPG Baldur's Gate 3, which is a PC game.
That's recency bias.
And Donkey Kong is not in this list at all.
Oh my god.
Donkey Kong! For fuck's sake. I mean, what? And why is Pikachu lower than Pac-Man? That's a good discussion.
No,
who? Yeah? No, Luigi? I mean, Luigi was in Mario Bros. And then Super Mario. Game saved it. And he was in it. No Ryu or Ken. As you said, no Geralt.
No Zelda.
No Princess Zelda. Who else is conspicuous by their absence in this?
Let me open my cupboard of dreams so I can have a look at some games.
Like I said, I think the Minecraft guy, although he doesn't talk, and I hate Minecraft because it's for
it's one of the
kids, but
the most
it is enormous
video games of all time, right? It's got to be.
Yeah. Sackboy shouldn't be in it at all. I mean, that's a joke.
No, I'm not.
That is a joke. Like I said, the Pikachu being number 12. I mean, Pokemon is still, I'm pretty sure, is still the biggest selling franchise in gaming history. Multiple movies, merchandise, card games for 20 plus years. Why is he 12?
I think the turnover
outrageous.
I think the turnover of Pokemon's bigger than the rest of Nintendo combined.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, that's insane.
I can't believe people vote for Baldur's Gate. That is such recency bias.
Yes.
It's not true. There's nothing iconic about characters from a game that came out 2 years ago, whether they're good characters or not. That's irrelevant.
No, they've to be iconic, I reckon. I mean, I would have Lara Croft probably in that list.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe,
for sure.
Top 10. if you, I don't know. I would need to sit and think about it. I don't think she'd make top 5, but number 1 is mental.
Number 1 is mental. She's just not relevant enough.
No,
and hasn't been consistently relevant enough since she was brought out. There has never been a video game character as consistently relevant and, you know, at the forefront of gaming industry as a poster boy for what video games are since 1983 as Mario. That is just a fact. Ellie, fair enough, I suppose. The Last of Us just had a TV show. She's right near the bottom. Yeah, but people like Kratos, obviously Link, they're Sonic. They should all be in it. Snake,
especially because like Sonic has
Cloud
made some sort of a roaring comeback over the last 5 or so years, hasn't he? With his success of his movie, and his games have sort of rallied ever so slightly.
Yeah, but I think I don't know if Master. Master Chief wasn't.
No Diddy, no Banjo.
Well, I don't know if people care enough about Banjo the way we care about Banjo. No. But you could pick a lot of like a Smash Brothers roster, and probably that it'll be more accurate than this.
Yeah,
like the fact that you say like there's no people from Street Fighter is absolutely wild. I mean, even if you want to go like to the older like games, like Cuba is more iconic. Than fucking Asterion from
Tetris
Baldur's Gate 3.
Is more iconic than Stadion. Shadow Heart. Especially because
nobody from Resident Evil's in there.
Oh yeah, Larian has also said that they're not making another Baldur's Gate, haven't they? So, like,
have they?
They're not going to become any more iconic. They are at peak iconography. I don't know what's the word for that.
Yeah.
Marcus Phoenix.
Yeah.
I guess we have to give him a shout out, given we're on a Gears podcast.
Yeah, I mean, Nathan Drake's probably been shafted. I think a lot of people are saying, you know, one of the characters from Assassin's Creed or whatever should be in there above some of them. Maybe, yeah. I don't know if Master Chief around about 8 is harsh on him. I just think it's harsh on him that he's below Sackboy.
Yeah, it's harsh on him who's above him. I guess, like I said at the start of this list, it's sort of a shame. I don't know. It's the same as all Microsoft properties at the moment, isn't it? They've sort of just languished off into the distance, and then all of a sudden, like multiple years have passed, and you realise you haven't had a relevant piece of entertainment from them.
Yeah,
in a while.
I'm not buying Agent 47 at number 3 either. I think that's absolutely insane.
No, it's, again, like, I don't know. I've got a bit of a soft spot for some of the games, but for all intents, like, Agent 47 never really hit any sort of like mainstream popularity until the new ones came along. Yeah, and even they were a slow burn. Like this.
They came out in an episodic format. I mean, that's not mainstream.
They were so much of a sort of commercial flop that they got dropped by their publisher.
Yeah, IDOS. Went
independent.
Yeah, so just don't involve IGN or any. Like, all the comments on the announcement of that was just like people just completely slating it, saying like, "Why the fuck are people like Kirby, Mega Man, Samus, like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat? Like, how are any of these people being booted out for people like Sackboy or whatever?"
No Five Nights at Freddy's characters.
Yeah, I mean. You could probably just put some knobhead from the box art of, if there's not even any box art, something from Fortnite would probably do it.
Just random guy doing a dance.
Yeah, exactly. That dance is more iconic than Asterion or whatever his name is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just thought, I was suitably furious about that, and I thought I'd bring all the listeners along with us.
How did you end up back here? What were you doing? How did you end up stumbling across this absolute travesty to humanity?
It was on the subreddit. Remember, some guy was like, "Oh, hey, look, Kiryu made it in," and then everyone in the comments was like, "What the fuck is this list? This is dreadful. We shouldn't give this any credence." And of course, it involves Master Chief, so I thought I would bring it up as an opening gambit before we get into how iconic Arbiter is. Oh wait, hold on.
Oh no, he's not on this list either. Damn it. That's a good opportunity, Alex. What is your sort of general thoughts about Halo 2? Because I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but I guess for me, like, I was more excited when we started playing the game than I was sort of towards the end of us playing the game.
I completely agree with that. I think it's partly easy to get somewhat bogged down with. I feel like the thing that got us the most the most kind of down on this game, which is probably something that you shouldn't get down on if you accept what Halo is going in, is the dying and respawning with the worst weapons possible in the game over and over again. It just completely removes the fun if you come back with that shitty plasma pistol and the green thing.
Worse than useless, that plasma pistol.
Yeah, the elite gun, whatever it's called, that you were shooting that just do not hurt the Flood whatsoever, was bizarre, utterly bizarre. And I saw it happen to both myself, but I saw you just getting chased down and unloading multiple magazines.
At one point, I emptied 2 entire magazines into one, just normal guy, and he just kept coming at me. Yeah.
The fact that the game ends, obviously, on an Arbiter level and a boss fight for the Arbiter.
Yeah.
Even at the time, was a disappointment. There is enough in the beginning of this game, for sure, that is proper Halo.
Yeah, I guess it's because it's taken us a couple of weeks to get through it, but you're reminding me how good the start of that game was. It was really, really strong at the start, actually.
Yeah, it starts quite similar to the first game, obviously, with the what's the level called? It's Cairo Station, which feels quite a lot like the initial
Pillar of Autumn.
Is it true for Pillar of Autumn? That's it in the first game. Getting taken, ships getting taken over by Covenant. So far, so similar, but perfectly classic Halo gameplay. Then you drop down into the outskirts and you're doing like turret sections. You start dual wielding the fucking SMGs, which was obviously a new thing for this game. You're getting then you're getting in warthogs, then you're getting in tanks and taking down a scarab. All brilliant. And then the Arbiter bit comes along and everybody looks like everybody else and you start shooting your own team by accident all the time. Giving us the plasma sword is another awesome addition to Halo. That the game feels wrong without it in the first first game. But I think maybe if we hadn't played it on, we didn't even play it on the hardest one, did we? Played it on heroic. Maybe that just kind of bogged it down a little bit at the end for us when we'd had this sort of disjointed jumping in and out over the course of about 2 or 3 weeks. And like I say, some of the little niggles and frustrations of, some of the Arbiter levels where it's like going up in a lift and just getting attacked multiple times, or loads of floods. Like the Flood is shit. I'm going to stand on that hill and die on it. The Flood is shit. I hate them. They ruin most of these games when they come along. I don't like fighting them at all. They have no personality. They're just brain dead gank squad wankers. And
I think
the Covenant is so good and so fun and engaging and cleverly written into the AI code to be tactical and dodge your bullets and things like that. And the Flood are just shit. They're just all over you all the time, and they're not interesting to look at or anything. They have no personality.
So I agree with you in implementation. I think there is a way to make, and I guess I'll rewind and start from the beginning. I think the Flood are shit because of where they came from in terms of like power available to the console and the people developing, because at no point do the Flood really flood. Like, they don't flood into a room. They don't you never felt flooded by the Flood particularly.
They just kind of chip damage the character. It's really annoying.
Whereas, the game that is jumping out to me at the moment was sort of World War Z, which is a surprisingly fun sort of Left 4 Dead third-person clone that you can get on consoles and PC, and the way that the enemies, or even the rats in A Plague Tale, the way that those enemies sort of work as like flowing water and as a wave, and you can sort of take down hundreds of them in one go. That's how you make the Flood fun. But yeah, obviously they couldn't have really done that in the original Xbox days. So I think ultimately, yes, I do agree with you. Even if I do sort of appreciate the idea of them.
I don't mind them from like a lore standpoint. They were really cool.
It's not fun to engage with, I guess.
Yeah, they're really, like, their introduction in Halo 1 is brilliant, and what they actually serve as in Halo 1, and when the story twist hits there, that's great. But they just remind me of other things, like, the husks in Mass Effect as well. I always hated them. I've got a real issue with enemies that just run at you just brain dead running at you, don't necessarily fire back, but if you don't have some kind of shotgun or melee, you're gonna get fucked up because you haven't got time to aim down sights, you haven't got time to be tactical. It's just this constant shit up in your grill. I just don't like it. The cliffhanger ending, well, I mean, that's been spoken about for 20 years. It sucks. It's a shame they did it. It really is. Say, what a damp squib to go out on, considering that they ended Halo 1 with that epic Warthog level, and they ended Halo 3, which we'll come to at another point in time on this podcast, with a similar idea, to end this one with kind of a shit boss fight that doesn't really explain itself very well in terms of how you're supposed to get rid of the shields of that knobhead and why you keep having to jump up and down on gravity lifts and he keeps kind of running away but not.
Yeah, he doesn't really show that he's taking damage very often, and it wasn't clear that we were doing the right thing.
Yeah, like it was talking about his shields. His shields are down. But why? What did we do that? Are they just recharged? Why his shields are down?
I'm of the opinion that a Halo game should finish with a Warthog section. I think that is exactly how it should do it. I wrote my notes in chronological order. So
okay,
in my notes I had written, it feels like the game was built on a compressed timeline. Which in my notes I'd written, given that there was 3 years between Halo 1 and 2, I guess it's sort of slightly true, but not really. We'll get to it when we talk about the development of the same, but it actually ended up being built on a massively compressed timeline because it just never came together very well. And the final level of Halo 2 was supposed to be sort of the final group of missions. It ended up getting cut entirely from the game. It was supposed to be the Arbiter and Chief coming together and doing a mission with each other, so
which would kind of make playing as Arbiter actually have some sort of point to it,
make it make sense, and it sort of allows you to sort of tie up the game. But yeah, where it is when he's off to finish the fight, I guess if they had been given the time to finish the game, he would have went off to finish the fight with Arbiter, not off to finich the fight like 3 years in like 3 years time when Halo 3 came out.
With the price of a new console out of your wallet.
I thought the level design was all over the place. Like I say, it started really well and really strong and felt like a proper Halo game, and then sort of the midpoint, I was going to say the midpoint, but genuinely it's like the middle 70% is actually just like repeating corridor shooter of the game, which is very confusing when you're the Arbiter at times as well, because you're not sure who you're shooting.
So we shot so many of our own guys as the Arbiter. It was ridiculous. There's two sort of key Halo level formats, isn't there? There's the slightly open one that will allow you to be in a Banshee or a tank.
Yeah, it feels like a big open
and even
space,
those,
whether it is or not, it feels like a big open space.
Yeah, and even within those, there are different versions of them, aren't there? There'll be like a tank one where you're kind of almost going down a linear path, and then there'll also be ones where you're sort of flying around in Banshees and you get to have a bit more agency about where you go as you're going to different landmarks. And then there's the ones where you're kind of on like some kind of vessel, a Covenant vessel or a human vessel, and you've got all the brightly coloured corridors and stuff like that, and some of those levels are good. Then you've got these weird third types where it's like a temple of some kind that's kind of grey. The doors don't always open, and it doesn't tell you how, like, whether they're open or not. They're just grey blocks, and you're just getting wave after wave of shitty either flying enemies or flood or just door after door of Covenant come at you, and they are terrible.
Yeah,
and this one has them all for the Arbiter as well.
Yeah, and it kept making the Covenant come from behind as well at some points, which was just irritating. But yeah, I did find it. I don't know. Again, it's probably sort of a product of its time. But you were talking about when you die and you spawn with the shit weapons. I find it difficult to believe that they couldn't just sort of create a save state so you spawned with the weapons you had. Although maybe they found in testing that was a problem. Maybe if you died with a gun that had no weapons, no ammo, people were sort of getting themselves into corners. So at least,
maybe.
I don't know how they did that, but for whatever they did, I don't know why they made that weapon so utterly useless.
I guess the other way around it potentially is to ask your friend to die so that they can, so that if you had a good gun at a checkpoint, at least when you both die, you start from there with your good guns again. Because there's nothing worse than if you've both got like a ghost and one of you loses it and dies, and then you're walking with shit plasma weapons, and your mate's still in his ghost with all of his like his shotgun and his battle rifle ready to go. You're just dead weight to them at that point.
There's a lot
you
of
hope they die.
Sort of incidental funny moments that we came across where, like, I decided I was going to, that one, the other night we did, where I was like, I'm going to blow up my ghost when I get a new one so that the enemies can't nick it. And then you just sort of walked up to it as it exploded, and it just sort of like spinning around. It just like cracked you in the head, and then you're dead.
Yeah, that will always be Halo's biggest appeal for me, is just enjoying it with a friend, but also laughing while playing it at the nonsense that the game can create, with all the weird quirks that can happen from having enough free reign over a battle space to experiment with like crazy shit, especially with the things like, you know, the sticky grenades, as you said, exploding vehicles and stuff like that. Like, there's just enough chance of chaos happening at any moment when the two of you have friendly fire on in the campaign that it just makes it endlessly enjoyable, apart from when you're both getting lost and stuck and dying and coming back with shit weapons,
or like someone's way ahead and then you get zapped to them, and then like you have no idea where you are, you start walking in the wrong direction, like and also, like, I guess we went through this in the last time we did a Halo pod, but for its time, the sort of enemy design was like, there was an interesting dynamic to that, insofar as like the way that the grunts reacted to you when they saw you. If you killed the elites before, because every group, it would come with an elite and then like X number of grunts. If you killed the elite first, the grunts would like get scared and try and run away. Or those big blue worm things, they apparently are partners in the game, and if you kill one of them, it sends the other one into like a massive, I don't know, rage. And then obviously like the brutes in this one were sort of fleshed out a little bit, even though most of them did look like they were trying to play capture the flag with themselves. Like you would knock off their armor and they would just start charging at you. Sort of created a nice sort of like, I don't know, because of their weapon that they had, they would sort of stand back and shoot, and then as soon as you busted them up a bit, they would just like lose their shit and come at you. So it just forces you to sort of react to them in a way that other games weren't doing at that time. So it does sort of interesting stuff. I guess, like, before we get into the meat and drink of Halo 2, it's probably be remiss of us not to at least discuss the inclusion of the multiplayer of Halo 2, which was the online section was new to the series. Halo CE, at least in my mind, feel free to correct me if you disagree, is a seminal game for the first-person shooting genre on console, showing that both there was not only a viable market for FPS games on console, but it was a highly lucrative one. It also acted as sort of the watermark of quality moving forward. I think we mentioned this in the previous podcast. If you look around at other genres in the gaming, as a comparison, it's actually surprising how little the FPS genre has really moved forward beyond what was done in Halo Combat Evolved, which, again, like for the most part, feels and plays like a modern game with some exceptions.
Yes.
Halo 2, I would say, is equally important to the games industry, but insofar as it pertains to the online multiplayer, which I guess has revolutionized the way that we play and interact with our consoles sort of forever. Acted as a driver for subscriptions for Halo, for Xbox Live, and engagement in Xbox's new service. Again, much like Halo CE, fundamentally changing the way we view and interact with games probably forever. Xbox Live had launched 2 years previously, in November 2002, and to get access to Xbox Live, players were required to purchase what they called an Xbox Live starter pack, which included a headset and a year's subscription to Xbox Live. It's a bit of a shame that due to the age of the game, I don't think I feel fully comfortable in saying that we would have been able to get a properly authentic Halo 2 online experience when we're playing through Halo 2. In prep for this article, I did actually log on today and try and do some Halo 2 matchmaking, but I wasn't able to. It told me there was 8 people online and it just wouldn't let me get into a game. Given the importance of the mode of the story of Halo, it's just not possible.
I think
to do that properly within this podcast.
Yeah, I think if you marry the importance of nascent stage console online gaming, and you marry that with the revolutionary kind of unheard of marketing campaign that they did for this, those two elements are what make Halo 2 so massive to the industry in a way that playing it does not fully equate to anymore.
No,
playing it is just it's a decent Halo game. It's not one of the best ones. Its story's all over the place. It's clearly not properly finished. It was important and it had a huge impact. It doesn't have that much of an impact anymore. And if you're wanting to binge Halo games, you could probably skip it and move straight to 3.
You probably could skip it. I guess, yeah. I think for the most part, if you're sort of, I don't know, like us and try to either relive our youth or sort of remember fun games or go back to something we had a fun time of, it's sort of a checkbox along the way. So like Halo CE is great, Halo 3 is great, Halo 4 not so much. So, but then like Halo 2 sort of sits between two fantastic games. Yeah. And I don't know, I feel like if just the type of player I am, if I want to play Halo 1 and then I want to play 3, I feel like 2 is just something I need to get through.
Yeah.
Did you play multiplayer much when you were younger? Was that something that sort of got into
I played split screen multiplayer, especially with the first Halo, but I did not have Xbox Live until 360, so I have never really played online Halo other than probably with friends on Halo 3, but that was very short-lived. I've tried to dip into it as a younger man and found myself overwhelmed by how good everybody else was and just sort of dipped out and played COD, probably.
Yeah. And my memory of it probably is mostly, as I've discussed, playing it with friends around friends' houses and doing a system link.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we did play online quite a lot. It was something that was absolutely a part of. The thing that I remember the most about this era is that just like sort of, I guess in the modern era of video games, you just having just to like turn a game on, you get like 16 levels just for moving your right thumbstick. Then everything is like, you're like collecting stuff left and right and it's giving you feedback left and right. Because this was sort of the first foray into online multiplayer on a console, really. It really wasn't like that. I remember there was like, you could be level 1 to 5, 5 being the highest level it was possible to get. And if you were to get to level 2, if you were at level 1, you had to win 5 games in a row. And then to get to level 3, win 5 games at level 2 in a row. And then until you got to that, and then you could go down levels based on how you performed when you were at that level. So like it was just a constant fight of trying to climb the ladder without slipping down. And yeah, it was like a game. The idea that a game would level you down in 2024 just sounds funny to me because it just would never do that.
Yeah,
Halo 2 absolutely did that. And I think was this where Blood Gulch came from, or was Blood Gulch a Halo 1 thing?
I think that was in the first one.
Maybe they redid it then for Halo 2.
I think they did. Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of my memory of it. But yeah, like I say, I thought we had to mention it because that is sort of the thing that made Halo 2 stand out when it was released. But it's just
I wish it was more of a part of. Yeah, I wish it was a bigger part of my gaming history, my personal gaming history, that I'd played like a significant amount of one Halo game's multiplayer campaign. I just never really have given it enough time to get good enough to feel like I could hang, and I always just felt put off by the fact that the fundamentals of Halo didn't really change enough to like make it feasible for relative newbies, or at least multiplayer noobs
it was
like
totally
me.
Impenetrable for a newbie.
Yeah, because I played the campaigns loads and felt really like I was decent enough at them. But I think, do you remember where we were? I don't remember. It must have been one of the Eurogamer expos. So I don't know what Halo game it was. Probably Reach, but they had like a setup there of like a multiplayer sort of almost like a LAN party where you had like an 8-player online stuff, and you and I both tried to jump into that, and we got fucking battered. And I thought,
I've got a memory of that, a Battlefield game.
Yeah, we also played
because you had an
Titanfall as well.
You had a rage at the controller that they were using for Battlefield because it was an esports controller.
No, it was because they didn't have a setting to invert the y-axis, and I said to the guy, like, why can't I invert my up and down? And he was like, I don't know, it's just not in this demo. I was like, well, I'm not playing it then.
I can't play this
because I can't relearn 15 years of right analog stick movement for 10-minute demo. Get fucked. Anyway, but we definitely
be upset. My sort of lingering upset was when you realised the people given the demos did not give a fuck about games, or some of them didn't. Like It was
the
zombie.
It was that zombie U. Yeah.
I remember trying to just engage the guy with conversation. He's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
No idea. I was like, all right, well, thanks for chatting with me, mate. That's good. You're really selling this Ubisoft title.
But, I actually feel like I want to give that another go, you know.
I do as well, because I think I actually might get it now because it's a roguelike, isn't it? So, like, I think I might understand what they are now because of games like Hades. I've sort of got my head around Dark Souls as well. Like the idea of dying and that not necessarily being a massive bad thing.
Yeah.
I've just closed my notes. What a tit.
I've got a long play of Halo 2 on while we're talking about this.
Oh, yeah.
And the like the outskirts into Metropolis bit where you're on the tank going over that like Golden Gate Bridge is fucking awesome.
You're going down the bridge and there's like not Banshees, the flying ones coming at you.
Yeah, that is Banshees, I think.
Banshee?
Yeah,
and you've got to like shoot them out the sky while there's ghosts. Yeah, Banshees and ghosts coming at you. Then
there's drop ships and the tank at the other side. Oh, it's so good. And you're in a tank the whole way through. That's absolutely superb. But yeah, so I think we played that. I think we played Halo. Just like I say, just at a gaming event. So you're not sitting there playing people who have got their own accounts going or whatever. Like this is just it's just a one-off bit of fun. And I got so badly whooped. I was like, well, I can never play Halo online because I couldn't even beat a bunch of schmoes and children at a fucking gaming event. So I'm obviously shit at this. I'm never going to come back. And I wish one Halo games multiplayer had been a staple of my friendship groups so that we could have all got heavily into it. But I think we just went to COD after Modern Warfare and then stuck with that every year for a good long while until probably like Modern Warfare 3 when you and I weren't that bothered anymore.
Which one it was? So I've just had a look and I'm assuming this would be at Eurogamer 2011 because Skyrim was there. Could have been 2010.
Yeah. There was one where Skyward Sword was there. I remember we played that.
So yeah,
that sounds about right.
So it'd be 2010 or 2011, depending on how long it was before Skyrim came out. 2010 was Halo Reach. Could be that. 2011 was the Halo CE anniversary.
Could be that.
2012. My God, 3 Halo games in 3 years was Halo 4. So I think it's probably Reach or the anniversary collection.
Yes, I think so too. It was interesting I was watching a video about the launch of Halo 2.
2009. What a fucking clip that Halo games used to come out at.
Yeah. Outrageous. And then that was all Bungie until 4, wasn't it? So no wonder they got fed up with it. What was I just saying?
Sorry, mate.
Oh, yeah. It was interesting to see that in the video that I watched about the launch of Halo 2 and the marketing and stuff. Did you watch that video in the end?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I felt like that guy could have put a little bit more effort in because he played a fucking 8-minute demo in the middle of the video. But
yeah, I did. I was watching it. I was like, is this video just about the trailers?
Because he'd obviously found the full footage of those trailers from like E3 or whatever and was like, well, this needs to be seen because it's like archival footage. Fair enough, but maybe talk over it or something.
Yeah.
But it was interesting that he was
I'm not going to be nasty. Carry on.
Yeah, because when he did talk, he had interesting stuff to say.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and then decided to shut my face.
But yeah, chiefly it was interesting that he was saying like loads of the early marketing of the game and stuff that was shown was all multiplayer.
Yeah,
like they obviously knew they were onto something really special, but they showed hardly any of the campaign. But maybe that again speaks to the fact that they hadn't really finished the campaign and they had to cut stuff they weren't confident in it.
And again, we'll get back to this, but a lot of what they showed in the demos never actually made it into the final game because they essentially scrapped the game after the E3, the last E3 demo.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
and I guess it's interesting because the Halo 2 did get delayed by a year, so they wanted it to be much closer.
Yes, they did.
Closer to the release of the Xbox Live. So they did sort of have it in mind that this was going to be a big thing that they were trying to push. I suppose ultimately, though, it's back to that thing. Who was it? Is it Kojima or someone from Nintendo? A bad game is bad forever. A good game is a delayed game is.
A delayed game is eventually good. A rushed game is bad forever. That's Miyamoto. That one.
That. There he goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not cryptic enough, and there's not enough celebrities in it for it to be Kojima to say that.
Exactly.
Right, well, I dive through the story quickly.
Yes, please, because I don't think I followed any of it while we were playing.
No.
That's partly because it's too chaotic, and also you and I were just talking, so that was not
laughing at you,
not an optimal way to
up.
Yeah. Or pressing the right bumper when I'm in a Banshee over the fucking flying around the sky, thinking it was going to do some kind of barrel roll and just exiting it and falling to my death.
Lost count of how many times I sworded myself like off the map because there was an enemy standing beside the map. The edge of the map. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If they didn't have that like kind of magnetized zoom towards the enemy once the cursor goes red, that would not be anywhere near as fun as it is to use.
No, it had to be that way.
But it adds that element of danger. But I just love that if you're flying in a Banshee, that you can make your character just so calmly just open the hatch, step out. Like it's not you've not accidentally pressed the fucking ejector seat. You've just gone there. I'm getting out. See you, boys, and then off he goes. Like what?
Just blindly accepts. I mean, like even the horses in Red Dead, when you try and run them off a cliff, they're like, "Are you sure?" I don't think we need to do that.
Yeah,
massive.
Yeah, at least make me have to hold it to jump out.
Yeah.
Good. Are you sure? Look, blood. Look, you know what happens to horses' legs over shit like this? I don't want to be in the glue factory. Oh, but Arbiter, don't give a shit.
Oh,
right. I'm getting some fresh air, boys. See you later.
On that, right, where I could have been playing through the first Red Dead, there's a bit of the map where there's like it's like I don't know, it must be like try to be an old river, but it's like loads of like canyons, like really narrow canyons, and I was like trying to go around collecting flowers and stuff, and I was like sprinting about on my horse looking for it, and I pressed X to jump, and it was just like running about and then just leapt. Totally, like, it was like honestly a gap that like you would have had to put effort into falling down. And it just jumped, thought, nah, and then just went straight down the hole, and that was the end of me. Deleted, because when you're collecting flowers and stuff and you die, it just like obliterates everything you've done since your last save, really. So it was just like 15 minutes of collecting flowers that I didn't even want to collect. Gone.
And then you realise you've wasted your whole life.
It's just like start, quit game, off PC, goodbye.
Yeah.
I'm coming back to this later.
Not only have I wasted my time doing this, I've wasted my life with this hobby, and now I'm going to waste everybody else's time telling them about flower collecting. Not that that's a bad anecdote, because it was funny, but at the same time, this is all meaningless, isn't it? What are we even doing here?
The worst thing is I've already done this fucking flower collecting 10 years ago, and I'm doing it again.
Yeah, and that cougar is still going to come and ruin it no matter what you do. They are fucking brilliant in that game, though. Those cougars that just out of nowhere ruin your entire game. Yeah. Oh man, what a classic.
There's no cougars in Halo 2.
He's still not as iconic as Sackboy, though. So
he's not as iconic as Sackboy. It's possible. I don't know how old Cortana is. She might be a cougar.
Yeah, maybe. Well, what's that? Is it Johnson? Is he knows what the ladies like, right? He gives her the smooth talk.
There's a great bit that was cut from the original script of Halo 2 later on, talking about things that ladies get up to that I cannot wait to discuss.
Oh, right. Okay, let's go. Let's get into
it may be in here.
The story.
I can't remember where I put it. I was cutting and pasting things around, so it will pop up somewhere. Anyway, Halo 2 immediately flips the script on the player from Halo Combat Evolved by opening from the perspective of a Covenant elite who is facing trial for his role in the failure to stop the destruction of the Halo from the previous game. After being found guilty and tortured by Tartarus, who is the sort of main enemy of the game, the elite is given the opportunity to become Arbiter, which is a rank given to elites during times of crisis. As far as I can gather from this is my little addendum, it also seems to be a role that is in most cases will involve death in battle, but in a way that will allow the damned,
like a martyrdom,
allow him to sort of gain some redemption over his past failures. So our new Arbiter is then tasked with quelling a rebellion that's popped up amongst the Covenant and recovering our Steve Merchant and he's sent off to recover our Steve Merchant impersonator 343 Guilty Spark. Meanwhile, on Earth, Master Chief is receiving a commendation for his actions on Halo. Then we meet Miranda Keyes, who is there accepting a medal on behalf of her deceased father, who meets his end in the first game. In brutal fashion. Do you have to punch his face in, actually, now I think about it, to get a key out of his skull?
Yeah.
Suddenly, the Covenant fleet appears, and the player gets back to work killing Covenant. During the fight, a Covenant ship slips in it and makes its way to Earth, and Master Chief is deployed to Earth to repel the invasion. After repelling the attack, Master Chief and Keyes give chase, at which point we discover that Halo and Chief is sent... At which point we discover another Halo, and Chief is sent to kill one of the Covenant prophets called Regret, while Keyes and Johnson go in search of Halo's activation key, which is known as the Index. I've said that like 4 times in this podcast. I need to stop that. When they realise Master Chief is there, Regret issues a distress call to the wider Covenant fleet, but not early enough for Master Chief not to punch this wee scrote to death while we're zooming about in his chair. I absolutely love that boss fight because you just got to chase him around and then just jump on his chair and just punch him in the head while he's just like moving around. It's so good.
That is great. And you called it right before we started doing it as well. Like, I'm pretty sure we're going to punch a guy in a chair in a minute. And there we were.
After that, the fleet arrive and bombard Chief's location, which then knocks him into the water, where he is dragged away by some tentacles that are unknown at this point. The death of Regret seems to cause some infighting amongst the Covenant, during which the elites are then replaced by the brutes as their honor guards. Arbiter then discovers that the remaining prophets have ordered his death, and he is knocked down a chasm, somehow landing him in the same place as Master Chief. Turns out the tentacles are some monster called the Grave Mind, and he brings Arbiter and Master Chief together, revealing to Arbiter, because Master Chief already knew the lie being pumped by the prophets and the true nature of the Halos. He then sends the two to different locations on the ring to prevent the activation of Halo. I'm not sure we know this till the end of the game, but Gravemind is essentially the sentient intelligence behind the Flood. So it's in his interest for the Halos not to go off, because I'm not sure I've mentioned it, but if the Halos explode, that kills the entire galaxy because it's sort of a fail-safe mechanism to eliminate the Flood.
Yes.
During this time, the government slip into civil war, and Master Chief and the Arbiter eventually join forces to continue their mission to stop the activation of the Halo Ring, blah, blah, blah. A bunch of missions around this. Chief then goes in search of Keyes and Johnson aboard the Covenant ship. Or a Covenant ship, sorry. He then rescues them. Once rescued, Arbiter works alongside Keyes and Johnson, whilst Cortana stays on board the ship named High Charity, which, in case our main antagonist Tartarus makes progress towards activating the ring, which he's starting to try and do. This culminates in the final boss fight between Tartarus and Chief. After killing him, he then goes off to finish the fight. In a post-credit sequence.
Oh, you know what? I credited that fight to being an Arbiter fight, so I take that back. If it's a Chief one, I forgot that.
It's a Chief one. Cortana, so in a post-credit sequence, we see Cortana has remained on board the ship High Charity, shown, and it shows Cortana speaking to Gravemind, which then sets up Halo 3. She seems to be answering questions that the Gravemind has. Here it is. Interestingly, one part of the story that was cut from the game was a scene where Miranda Keyes straps a bomb to the back of Master Chief and throws him in a hole for revenge after her father's death.
Oh, shit.
The chief designer in an interview blamed this on the fact that the writer at the time was going through a bad breakup. And that's where he thinks it came from.
Oh, that's got sort of remnants of the old the boozer after that guy's wife who talked shit about everyone's back.
It does a bit.
Yeah. Well, they certainly got their revenge on her in the remaster by making her look incredibly mannish. She has a jaw you could crack a fucking acorn on.
The Arbiter's original title apparently was also going to be a dervish, but again, during the sort of era that this game came out, it was pulled late on and changed to Arbiter because Microsoft's legal team thought it might be perceived as a message about Islam.
I see.
I've got here, Alex, did you enjoy the story? Did you follow it? And does the storyline even matter? No. Is that?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. The storyline probably matters to, absolute hardcore Halo fanatics. Maybe. The setup for the whole Arbiter thing, I think, is quite cool. Mm-hmm. The whole civil war and the Covenant, the whole intertwining. in this long play I'm watching, he's just had a no signal error. That's brilliant. Check your cables are connected. Gutted, mate.
Do you use Elgato by any chance?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. So there are elements of the story that are good, and I think the personality they gave to Johnson was quite funny as well. They kind of really beefed him up into this kind of like smack talking badass. So and he was smoking his cigars all the time and all that kind of shit. I really enjoyed that. I
think for me, it's a classic.
I just cannot concentrate on story when action's going on. I don't know what's wrong. I don't think that's. I don't think that's a fault of mine. I think it's just very difficult because I'm so locked in on the gameplay.
Period where you'd like find an audio recording just as shit was about to go down. So you're just like some like important exposition is taking place while you're just like fighting for your life, not listening whatsoever. I think the story sort of like described in a nutshell is quite decent. It's just like classic American TV show syndrome in that like it's. Let's say that Halo 2 is 24 episodes where there's actually like 4 episodes of content that's interesting here. So much filler around that. You were a big fan of the music, the sort of like math metal at one point.
The remastered one, yeah.
That was quite jarring, quite funny.
I think the original soundtrack's pretty good as well.
It's good. It's just it seems extremely muted compared to what you're listening to in this sort of remaster stuff. Tell you what, also that we need to at least mention that remaster is, especially the cutscenes are absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's how old now? Like 10 years old, and it still looks insanely good. Phenomenal work across the board in update. It felt like if you switch, the best remaster there's ever been. Is the Halo 1 and 2.
The visual
better one
there is
essentially a
cannot
remake.
Know how good it is. It was weird if you press the back button to switch to the old stuff. It felt like that was always quite far behind what was in the
I noticed that,
I don't know if that's them trying to be like, well, just to make sure you don't miss any of the story.
I wonder if,
we'll rewind it by like 5 seconds.
You're pressing sort of your select button to, I wonder what that looks like. So it rewinds it a little bit so you can see the reveal. Because I did find it quite funny. There was a moment where like Arbiter was running out of a doorway and then something comes up. I can't remember what it was. And then I sort of switched and it had all like, when it was the remake master thing, had all this music happening, all this action, explosions going on. Then I pressed select, and it was just like Arbiter running silently across an open. I was like, this is so good.
But honestly, for a 10-year-old thing, as David's just said, it looks as good as anything now. The detail on the character models is just incredible. I could not get over it. Every time we saw it, just blew my socks off. So good.
Insanely good. The gameplay also is as good as it's ever been, right?
There's nothing wrong with it.
Absolutely nothing wrong with it. You've touched on it already, the big sort of introduction from a gameplay perspective for me probably is the energy sword, but they also had dual wielding, which dual wielding's gone under. I need to find. Let's see if I can find in my notes. Dual wielding's gone under sort of an interesting back and forth over the Halo games.
Okay.
I'm trying to find it, but essentially they reworked it in Halo 3 because I think this is perhaps what it was. So essentially they discovered that the cheat button in Halo 2 was to use double needlers because it just absolutely annihilated enemies really quickly. So they removed that in Halo 3. Apparently, so I've lost it and I'm not going to find it. But there was discussion about what makes Halo gameplay, and they were discussing this thing called the Golden Triangle, and it was sort of like it was shooting, melee, and movement or something like that. Can't remember. I'm making it.
Vehicles.
Let me have a look. Halo.
I just want to add.
Yeah, carry on while I Google.
Add to like the dunking on Arbiter that we've been doing so far in this podcast. Like on this long play that I'm watching right now. Mm-hmm. In the moment from when you finish up the Master Chief section, which is where he blows up the Scarab from inside, which is awesome. There's a great set piece, a cool idea. Far better than Halo 3, but set the stall out for it here. Mm-hmm. Before you actually get to play as Arbiter, you have to sit through what is almost 6-minute cutscene.
Wow.
And so it's not a great introduction to that character. I mean, yes, they really have to set the scene. They really have to kind of introduce probably why you're having to do all of this and why this is now a character you're about to play as. Maybe they thought this was their fucking Raiden moment. Raiden.
Well, that's exactly. I was about to say, can I sort of jump on the other side for a minute, because I agree with you, but I need you to sort of make me feel better about something. Is like, we were largely positive about Raiden in Metal Gear Solid 2, right? What makes this not good?
We were positive about Raiden, but
at the time, I don't think there was positivity about Raiden.
No, absolutely not. I think people still don't like him now because he's just too whiny and bitchy. But I think that
I do like. They kind of slip some Seagull shit. To be fair.
Yeah. They were trying to make him look a goof, but they also pay off Raiden's character, I think, well enough. Whereas Arbiters, they just don't because they couldn't. They took it out of the game. But when you're first introduced to him in, like, you know, the primary action FPS title of that era, one that's been,
it's brave,
you know, waited on. It's been delayed for a year. It's been one of the most heavily marketed games ever. It's one of the most highly anticipated games ever. Launch day, incredible numbers, and then you're introducing a new character that isn't Master Chief, and you're doing that with a 6-minute cutscene in a heavy action game. I don't know if that's the right way to have done it, because it just drags on and on. Like, I just looked down at my other monitor and just thought, well, fucking hell, they still haven't started playing as him yet. It just, I think that was wide of the mark of the way to introduce a character in a fun and engaging way. It's just a little bit too, listen to us tell you who this guy is for too long. You will play as him now and you will be engaged. Well, no, I'm not. I've just played a game and a half of Master Chief. And now you've bored me with Arbiter before I've even touched the fucking button.
True.
Sorry, lads.
I have found out with the Golden Triangle. It's a thing.
Go for it.
It was the idea from the designers about the sort of combat loop within Halo. So it goes guns, melee, grenades. And basically the idea, falling back on what they felt was the core mechanics of Halo, and basically the 3 tactics of attack. You basically run at someone, shooting your guns, melee them to finish them off after you bust their shields, or vice versa, and then you sort of chuck grenades. Anyway, the reason I was talking about that is that they also felt that introducing dual wielding into Halo 2 sort of threw a spanner in the works, because you could no longer really melee people, you could no longer throw grenades without dropping your gun, and it just sort of fundamentally changed the way in which players were forced to interact with the world.
Completely agree.
That was sort of like messed with when, again, like why they sort of removed it was the reason that the SMG sort of took precedence over the sort of standard battle rifle from the first Halo. Because you could dual wield it. You can't dual wield the normal battle rifle. And then, but also, like, they removed that, and obviously in Halo 3 on from Halo 2, they found that in some senses it made the game not fun, but in some senses it made the game OP. But they sort of tweaked it and removed little bits and pieces. And actually in Halo 3, when you dual wield a gun, it makes the gun weaker. So if you're shooting, say if you shoot someone with, if you're holding, I don't know, let's say an SMG and you shoot one bullet into someone, it does 10 damage. When you pick up a dual wield, if you shoot one bullet with one person, it'll do 8. It does a little bit less damage to try and sort of rebalance that, which I thought was quite an interesting.
Very much so, yeah. Just want to add back into it again that as part of this Golden Triangle, Halo has the best grenades in video games. To change my mind, you cannot.
Hands down. I'm trying to think of a better one. I mean, I
like the ones in Gears because they eviscerate those poor fuckers. But these ones, it's the ragdoll effects and it's the sticky part.
It's the sticky part,
yeah. You're always going to have multiple levels where people are coming through a choke point corridor at you, and you lob it in there, and they get blown towards and over your head past you because the explosion was that violent. They're just so much fun. So the frag grenades, but sticky plasma grenades are one of the like one of my most favorite items.
And when you stick it to someone, like, so two things. One, when you stick it to like an elite and you sort of register the fear in their face when they realize what you've just done.
Yeah.
Two is when you like send a brute psycho and you accidentally chuck a grenade at a sticky grenade at him, sticks at him, and he's just running at you. The fear that it gives you is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, oh god,
yeah,
no, get away.
Yeah. Oh, hoisted by my own petard. Yeah. In fact, the video I'm watching, he's just stuck an elite who then ran towards him with a grenade on his knee.
So good.
Oh, just fantastic! What an invention! So good.
Yeah, you're right. I think yes, I'm going to go with Halo's the best grenades. They probably fun. Like, I was trying to compare them in my head to the the Gears of War. Too many gears. The Gears of War grenades, because you can stick them to walls, so you can sort of set them up as a defensive perimeter, which is very cool.
Yeah. Yes,
and I like that they have a gameplay mechanic with them because you've got to chuck them into e-holes. However, I don't.
And they have an arc.
Yes, I do not like that it sticks to like that really old school where you've got to equip grenades as a weapon.
Exactly what I was going to say. Any grenade that needs to be equipped over having a button that you can use just while your gun is still out is a lesser grenade.
That was it back in the day. That was the old black and white buttons as well.
Yeah.
Enemies largely the same. They introduced those flying enemies, which I did not like.
Great, we love those.
They were sons of bitches, those guys. One group of enemies, other than the brutes when they went mental with their capture the flags.
What is that? Did you know? Have you found that out? Like, why they're all holding flags?
No, because my assumption was they were part of the honor guard, but when you actually encounter the honor guard, they've got a whole different outfit on. They've got like a bumblebee.
Yeah.
Sort of like,
they look like Goldar from Power Rangers, those fuckers.
I was about to call them Gangrel, but I memeant Goldar.
Gangrel! Fucking Edge and Christian and then the little grunts. Yeah. Yeah, they were so Goldar, those enemies, man. They're brilliant.
Yeah,
they're terrifying. They take a beating. They do.
Yeah. Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, other than those guys, I think the random enemy that gives a bit of trouble randomly with the snipers. Oh my god! Just like
Jesus,
going about your business. Boom, dead.
Yeah, always a one shot. That actually probably brings back round my point that I made right at the start of this, where the niggling annoyances of being killed easily in this game and then having to restart with shit weapons.
Yeah,
that probably comes from them taking away health and just having that. Does your health regenerate as well as you? It doesn't. You just have no health, don't you? You just have a shield, and then you will die if your shield is gone.
Yeah, because
there is no
I think Halo 3 they introduce you've got a shield and health pack, so you've just a shield and health pack in Halo 3. I think is the one they introduced that. When we were playing, was it Fire Team? When we were playing that mode. After we completed Halo 2, that had a combo between health pack and shields. So you could pick up health packs off the wall, but also you had a shield that would replenish. Halo 2 is still just a shield.
I don't know what they were thinking of when they thought that was the better option.
Yeah, I don't know.
It didn't need changing. I don't understand why they did.
No.
It just made you feel a lot weaker.
Yeah.
You were so much more vulnerable. You're taking out part of the golden triangle, boys. The melee is not a viable tactic as often as it was in the first game because you'll just get munched and your shield will go and you're dead. But the snipers, man alive, they do not often miss.
No, they don't.
Of course, if you're trying to snipe them back, you've got that classic Halo annoyance of if you get touched, you're not looking down sights anymore.
I've got this ongoing beef with I'm going to do a bad job of explaining this, but hopefully you can help me out here. I've got this ongoing as much as I love sci-fi, I've got this ongoing beef with sci-fi in the way that they sort of group alien species as sort of one mind. So it's just like if you're born and you're like that sniper alien, it's like, oh, so you're going to grow up and you're going to join the army, you're going to get a shield and that shit gun, or you're going to get a sniper. You're going to be a grunt. You will never be anything other than a grunt because you're a grunt. Yeah. Star Trek does it in the Ferengi in Star Trek with the big massive ears. They're basically they're basically like a weird play on the Jews because they're obsessed with like this like cliche of being obsessed with money. Like
really,
all of them. Yeah, all of them. You don't get like you don't get a Ferengi that just wants to live in a tiny house and play his guitar or something. They all are obsessed with money, and they all like, if there's a casino owner in Star Trek, it'll be a Ferengi. Like, why does sci-fi do this? Like, Mass Effect does it. Name me one that doesn't do it. So, like, when they have the Civil War in Halo 2, they go down species lines.
They do, yeah.
Always. Anyway, it just bugs me a little bit.
It's kind of just lazy world building, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where it's just, it's like saying, it's like saying we can get away with this almost racism because we made up all the races, so it's fine. They don't exist, and we made them all.
Yeah.
Don't draw parallels to real races. We didn't mean to do that.
Just to sort of round out the dual wielding, because it was such a big part of the development cycle for this game. So I've found on halopedia.org, they've listed a bunch of advantages and disadvantages. You can tell me how much you agree and disagree. So the advantages is enhanced firepower. When a player is dual wielding, obviously the two weapons in conjunction are more powerful than a single weapon. Can't really argue with that. Greater versatility. So apparently, I think it's one thing I didn't mess with, but in hindsight, I probably should have, is they wanted you to dual wield with different weapon types to do different things. So obviously there's that green energy thing that you can load up. What they wanted you to do is sort of load that up and fire it at someone, because when it hits them, it breaks their shield, and then have something else. Never mess with that. Probably should have. That's a David problem. They talk about more effective combos, which is exactly what we just spoke about. Double ammo reserve, apparently. Yeah, I guess so, but you still run out in the same sort of period because you fire them both at the same time, right?
Was there a way to? There was never a way to like combine the two separated guns into one, though, was there?
I don't think so.
So if you're starting me with the elite pistol, that plasma pistol, and that shitty green one, why can't I dual wield? You can't
whip them both out. You had to find a different. Yeah, you're right. No, yeah, that's a good point. Constant firepower, which is true. Disadvantages. Inability to melee attack, which I think, or throw grenades or use equipment, which I think is a massive hindrance, which is what sort of put me off doing it. For
totally.
Yeah. Reload and overheat window, which again sort of relates back to the first one. When you overheat or you need to reload, you can't do anything. You can't defend yourself in any way whatsoever. Accuracy decrease, apparently, so the weapons become less accurate when you're dual wielding, and it consumes twice as much ammo.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting. The dual
that's to be expected, really. If you've got two things going crazy in your hands, you're not going to have a lot of accuracy.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're some kind of super cyborg that was created to be the ultimate weapon or something.
Yeah.
But sadly, we weren't, right?
No, exactly. The enemies, that's what we've just spoken about. We've spoken about the final boss and sort of the weak points about that. The energy sword. We're going to come to this, but apparently the visuals were a massive step up between Halo.
They were. They really were. We didn't obviously see a lot of it, but we didn't from watching like sort of advertising and marketing material and cutscenes and stuff. Yeah, they really stepped up the entire visual.
Again, we'll come to this, but it involved an entirely new engine and physics engine, and they also used a thing that was new for the time called shadow occlusion or something like that. Anyway, we'll come to that because I can't remember, but we'll come to that. The development of the game, apparently Halo was never planned as a trilogy, and I guess we kind of know that given sort of the origins of Halo. It was sort of, what was it at first, like an Age of Empires type game on Mac. So I don't know, the idea that Halo was never planned as a trilogy is not a surprise. I guess it's sort of probably quite clear that they were just sort of going with it, going with whatever, sort of just running with whatever they had at the time. But apparently the critical and commercial success of Halo Combat Evolved made a sequel almost a certainty. Perhaps a nod to our earlier discussion, Halo 2 had somewhat of a turbulent development cycle. The initial plan was to make a sequel that built upon Halo Combat Evolved and brought back many of the ideas that were cut from its development. In addition to this, they also rebuilt the game engine, as we just mentioned, as well as the physics engine and a new system for shadow volumes, which at the time was a new way of rendering shadows and shadows and light in the game. So during my I had no idea what shadow. So the term is called shadow volumes. I had no idea what that was. So I had a sort of Google about. It seems to be a lot of discussion about how much improved the game was visually and how the light reacted to things like Chief's armor, etc., that would be down would be down to this new tech. So the video that you sent me the other day about the Halo Combat marketing campaign and stuff talks about the light on the armor and how stuff like that. That's probably down to this new shadow volumes. And basically what that is so I found this picture online, and it showed me this square room with a bunch of balls. And instead of up to this point, they would just, I mean, essentially largely they are doing it, but they would just sort of guess. So like if Doom 3 also released in 2004 did very similar tech at the time, which is again another game that looks really, really good. But basically what they did is it's just this sort of tech, and I saw this square room and it had balls and it had like light sources beaming down on it, and then they would have like sort of, I don't know what you call them in development terms, but lines coming off it, and it basically allowed you to sort of accurately map
like refraction
exactly
lines, I guess.
It allowed you to accurately or more accurately sort of predict and show how light would react in real time, even though it's still sort of smoke and mirrors. Unfortunately, during this time, due to burnout and natural staff churn, Bungie began to struggle with communication issues from the outset, which on many occasions led to staff working for months on duplicated or ultimately unused work, which just meant that the staff felt like they were getting nowhere. They would work on something for 3 months and then find that someone else had already done it, and they just have to chuck it out.
Right.
In part, these issues were put down to the departure of Bungie co-founder Alex Seropian. It's widely believed that he acted as a mediator in disagreements, often smoothing out the politics to allow the creative members of the team to get to work. After his departure, decisions were then shared amongst the creative team members. Writer on Halo 2, Joseph Staten, said that this worked when the team was about 12 members in size, but by the time it got to 30 members, which was what Halo 2 Ultimate was made by 70 people, that by the time it got to about 30 people, this approach just fell apart. This resulted in a lot of wasted time, effort, and friction amongst the team. Alex, I don't know about you, and I think we've sort of touched on this already, but I think I can feel that in the game. Do you agree with that? Does that make sense when I say I can feel it? It feel like we spoke about earlier. The game starts incredibly strongly, and then it sort of falls apart, and the ending is a bit of a damp squib. It's almost like they started with a clear idea, started acting upon it, and then sort of through. I mean, ultimately, it's probably because of time constraints, because they were working on other stuff that eventually got thrown out, or disagreements that happened, that the game development cycle became so compressed that the end of the game is literally rushed in a way that the start of the game probably wasn't.
Yeah. There's a disjointed feel about too many parts of the game that clearly show how fragmented they were as a team.
So that's exactly the word I had in my notes, is disjointed. As discussed earlier, an important feature of Halo 2 was the multiplayer. Using Xbox Live, multiplayer in Combat Evolved was achieved by System Link and had nearly been scrapped altogether in the rush to complete the game. It was found that most players never played the large... So during the sort of post-Halo Combat Evolved sort of marketing research, it was found that most players never played the large maps that were on offer in the game, while a subset of the players did, and they really enjoyed it. The 16-player action connecting consoles together with network cables for group play. The developers looked at a small set of fans who were able to do this and said, engineering lead Chris Butcher said that they realized how much they were enjoying themselves, and then they asked themselves, could they bring that to everybody? And that would be something really, really, really unique, and they wanted to implement that into the Halo 2 multiplayer experience. Initially, Combat Evolved's multiplayer was supposed to involve larger maps, as I was saying, I'll start that again. Initially, Halo Combat Evolved's multiplayer was supposed to involve even larger maps than what eventually shipped in the final game, and members of the team wanted to resurrect those plans for Halo 2. During development, it was also mooted that the smaller multiplayer modes and even local split screen would be removed. However, designer Max Hoberman is credited with saving these features in the final release.
Max.
Yeah, Alex, do you think this is one of these things? Do you think this is this has to be a sliding door moment, right? I wonder if Halo would have been Halo had they removed these features. Either that, or maybe drawing too much comparison from personal experience, but that was the reason that I played and enjoyed those games. was like for the multiplayer and for the maps and like the idea and even the split screen that we've just played and enjoyed the game from. Imagine that wasn't in the game.
I just don't see how Microsoft would have had as big a foothold as they ended up having in the next generation with online multiplayer without Halo having that in it.
Yeah.
You have to have something to draw people to this new platform you're expecting to charge money for. And they had it. And Sony didn't. And that's why they didn't really get anywhere close to it until PS3. And even on PS3, they weren't anywhere near as good as what Microsoft were offering because Microsoft already had that foundation from the previous generation. And they had a leg up from PC development as well, I guess. But it's just the fortunes of Microsoft feel like, or at least of Xbox, feel they would have been vastly different without this kicking off in this generation, because they obviously did not win this generation, even as a result of it. But the footing it gave them to attack the next generation full on with online multiplayer as their key, like, core concept behind what the Xbox 360 was going to be about, that probably doesn't happen the way that it did without this.
I'm trying to think, like, I think I'm just maybe speaking through bias here, so hopefully you can think of examples. Like, yeah, like, I think for the most part, Microsoft have generally, over the course of their history, lost, in quotation marks, the sort of battle against PlayStation for the largest market share. But I'm struggling to think in ways that, like, so like we can think of several key ways in which, like with Halo, with the way that first person shooters sort of became what they were, and then Microsoft with their Xbox Live stuff, like Microsoft have repeatedly revolutionized the games industry. I'm struggling to think of many occasions in which PlayStation have done it. Probably maybe with the PS1 when they came out and they started using CDs.
Definitely.
And they also introduced, like, they started making games for adults rather than just kids. That's probably their biggest legacy. I'm struggling to think of anything else. They make good games, like really high quality single player games, but that's not revolutionary. That's just competence, right?
That's quite a modern thing as well, to be fair. They largely for PS1 completely lent on third party support.
If you're asking me, my opinion, I prefer plucky PlayStation that were willing to take chances on games like Vib Ribbon, like some like random shit. Whereas now they're just a big budget house, which I think is a bit of a shame. Yeah. One feature that was scrapped from the end of Halo 2, however, was that there was an online component that originally planned squad battles between. So originally, to make this make sense, it was planned that the online multiplayer component would be elites versus Spartans in every mode, and you would either be an elite or you'd be a Spartan. An idea within this was also something that we saw in sort of latter day or more recent Call of Duty games, that in addition to playing as elites and things like that, players would be able to call in airstrikes against one another. But it couldn't be done in time for the release of the game, and it was ultimately scrapped. That would have been cool. I quite like the idea of having elites. I guess it probably saves a lot of memory just having the same characters running around of different colours rather than putting different.
Almost certainly. Yeah, and I guess Rooster Teeth or whoever the fuck it was when they had red versus blue as that would not have been as popular or even would have existed if it was Spartans versus elites.
In February 2000, I was going to say 2023, it wasn't 2023, Alex, you'll be surprised to hear. In February 2003, after the gameplay demo at E3, which explains why nothing in the E3 demo made it to the final game, much of the work that had been done over the previous 2 years had to be scrapped and restarted because it was felt that the project was going backwards rather than forwards. And in order to ship the game, Bungie began paring back the ambitions for both the single player and multiplayer parts of the game. I suppose, like I said, we've kind of touched on this already. This perhaps explains the abrupt ending to the game as an entire third act where Chief and Arbiter came together to fight on Earth against the Prophets was completely scrapped. This came partly due to internal wranglings with Microsoft execs taking a vote apparently at the time whether to force Bungie to release the unfinished game. Ultimately, Microsoft Studios head Ed Fries had to walk out of a board meeting and threaten to quit in order to get Bungie enough time to finish the game. which was obviously the extra year that they got. Apparently, the mother of all crunches then ensued. I mean, that's obviously like a thing. Like, I don't want to seem insensitive here, because I wouldn't want to be crunching the way that game devs crunch.
Yeah.
And again, this is why I don't want to come across as insensitive. So feel free to correct me, and actually kind of want to be corrected. Like, I struggle to feel sympathy for people entering the games industry and complaining about crunch when they know it's a thing.
Well, they've taken so long to even think about unionizing that, potentially that's an accepted sacrifice that you make. And the surprise around it. I mean, I get it. Like, you're being forced to do it mostly by publishers who
then you lose your job
doing any of the making of the game. Yeah.
And then you lose your job at the end of it. Yeah, I guess so. But I just got memories of, like, and obviously it's not comparable, so I shouldn't be making a comparison out of it. But like, I've stayed up. Like, I guess the difference is that it's been over a short period of time. But like, you and I have made videos or done podcasts that have resulted in what's ostensibly a crunch. You finish a full day at work and then do this all night and then miss out on sleep and try and get stuff done. Like, I don't know. I think ultimately I am on the side of the developers, but there's a little bit of me that it's just like, this comes with the territory.
Yeah, it shouldn't have to come with the territory because it's based on bad project management and the whims of rich executives making the grunts do all the work that they were never even going to try to do. That's the
thing that sticks in my craw, is that the people doing the crunching, other than the sort of like studio leads, don't get recompensed for it. Mm-hmm. And like people like, who's the guy that with the curly hair that made The Last of Us? He can go and take like a 3-month break after he finishes The Last of Us, whereas like the sort of grunt work getting done, like the day-to-day programming, they don't get a break. They probably lose their job and have to get.
They're mostly on the job market again. Yeah, exactly. I mean, thank fuck that there are people out there willing to sacrifice so much to make these pieces of art that we enjoy. They shouldn't have to do it though.
It's passion. But also,
it didn't even result in what they would have wanted it to do for this game either. They crunched to make the game basically
playable,
releasable, rather than make the game what their vision actually wanted it to be.
As a sort of an idea behind this, the design lead Paul Bertone apparently had to kennel his dog for 2 months and live at the office. And artists like Lorraine McLeese would work an entire day, collect her child from daycare, then return to work with her child to then do more hours into the evening and into the night. It's this crunch and arguing behind the scenes that is blamed for the game being in a sort of rough around the edges and the multiplayer being a shadow of its original intent. My next question is sort of your thoughts on this. Do you think the game feels like this? We've sort of covered this. I think it probably does feel like that. It's an interesting game that I think, I don't know, if you're to ask me about my feelings on Halo, I would say it's an interesting game with some great ideas. It's a shame that its sort of USP and what makes Halo 2 a special game is no longer really possible to experience today. Which makes it a thing that you would probably only play through if you had a particular interest in experiencing the entire Halo franchise. There's no reason that you would just go back and play Halo 2 in 2024. No,
it's a time capsule, isn't it? That's all it is. It's a time capsule of importance and innovation that has not that doesn't necessarily need to be experienced for any real reason at this stage.
Not really. I mean, it's, I guess, like, because you can't play the multiplayer, its big changes are the introduction of the energy sword and the introduction of dual wielding. And as we've discussed, the energy sword is great, and it is the thing that makes Halo feel like Halo, but it's also in Halo 3, which is a much better game. And the dual wielding is also tweaked and edited in Halo 3, so you can reload the different guns independently and things like that. So it's a better version of what was in that. Being the Arbiter isn't particularly fun.
No.
there are cool story beats, but you can sort of gobble that up in the matter of minutes by just watching a few cutscenes.
Yeah. It's best now just enjoyed it as a co-op experience with a friend, with the remastered stuff turned on, and then you'll make your own fun out of it. But it's not an essential part of the Halo experience for me.
I was actually surprised how little Guilty Spark there actually is in the game. He sort of appears at the start and then you don't really see him again.
Yeah.
And there's no real reason for
that. He's not worth crunching over, is he?
No, I'm not really sure what he's up to be honest.
Yeah. I can't remember a single word he said or a motivation that he had in this one. Other than he just sort of shows up like the shitheel that he is, like, hey, it's me here to ruin stuff again. But I don't quite remember what he actually ruined or what his reasoning for ruining it was. I just know that he probably did something shit and sly, but can't remember what. Can't be bothered to look it up.
I did enjoy my time playing the game. I'm glad we played it.
Yeah. Because we hung out and had fun.
Exactly. I'm also glad we're moving on to something new. I guess it's my ultimate feeling on the game.
Yes. But happy birthday and all that.
Yeah. If someone was to like force you to give a score to it, I sometimes feel like this is unfair. What would you in 2024, given the product that is available now, try and disregard its sort of importance to the multiplayer, the pantheon of multiplayer gaming, and just look at it as a product that is available in 2024. What does Halo 2 get?
7?
7? 6.5 maybe for me, I think.
Fair.
I feel like it becomes quite confused about the midpoint. Well, about a third of the way in, and then sort of it writes itself before the end, and then the final boss is another bit of a confused mess.
Yep. Yeah. So 6.5, 7. We're pretty much there with that. Like, as we've said, core Halo stuff, it's all there mostly, apart from, latter day tweaks and improvements they've added to it. But if you want to hit people and chuck grenades and drive tanks and use swords and all that kind of fun stuff that, with a friend or whatever, that makes Halo great and iconic, it is there. It's just by no means the most important, aka the first one, or the most enjoyable, aka subsequent ones, Halo experience you're going to get. It's just a Halo game that's low, bottom tier Halo, really.
I would like to, and I've just thought of this right now, because I need to hopefully make myself feel good about Halo again. Can we apply my Star Wars logic to the Halo games and see where we come out? So my Star Wars, for those that don't know, my Star Wars logic is that there are more bad Star Wars movies than there are good Star Wars movies. So you have to look at Star Wars as a bad movie franchise.
Yeah.
So let's go through the Halo games in chronological order, and we can choose whether to include or not include games depending on how we feel, and see where we end up. So I've got a G on my bit of paper here that will stand for good, Alex. And
okay.
I've got an M.
We clarified that.
I've got an M that will stand for meh, because I don't think there are any
mid.
I don't think there are any truly bad Halo games.
No, there aren't.
I don't think. So
I've not played 5, but I still don't believe that was probably.
I don't think it's
truly
bad.
terrible.
I just don't think it's that good. Okay, so Halo Combat Evolved, that's got to go in the good section, right?
Absolutely.
That came out in 2001. Halo 2, 2004. Are we going to put that in the M section? I feel like it might go in the M section.
Let's put it in there for now.
For now. Halo 3 goes into good.
Yep.
It's maybe one of the best ones.
Yeah.
Are we going to include Halo Wars?
I haven't played it and I don't ever want to play it, so that would be a meh from me, but I'm pretty sure it's
let's include it because it's
regarded
enough
franchise.
Yeah. I've also just listened to the first Jason Schreier book, which covered Halo Wars. And it was basically a game that was incepted to have nothing to do with Halo. That Microsoft were like, we want you to make a Halo game. So they had to rework it. Halo 3.
Who made that? Who made Halo? Was it Bungie?
No, it wasn't.
I don't think it was it?
Apparently, Bungie were very standoffish about the developer making this. Let's have a quick find.
Okay.
It was made by... Oh, it was made by the people that went on to... That made the Age of Empires game, who were Ensemble.
Oh, okay. Well, they were the right people to be doing it,
They
I
were
guess.
the right people to be doing it, yeah. It's going in the mess section. We're 4 games in, we're 2 apiece. Halo 3 ODST has to go in the good section. That is a fantastic video game. The next one on Google is Halo 2600, which seems to be an Atari game. I think that's a spin-off, so we're not going to count that, right?
Yeah,
I don't even know what that is.
No, I don't understand that.
Well, I'll have a look at what this is. It came out in 2010, apparently. Halo 2600. Halo 2600 is a 2010 action-adventure game developed by Ed Fries. Oh, the guy, okay, he did make Halo. Published by Atari Age for the Atari 2600. Interesting. And it looks hilarious. What? Wow. Look at this. Halo 2600, if you're wanting to pull Google up. It looks amazing. And they've printed cards, so you can buy a Halo 2600 card. We've not played it. It's not a real Halo game. We can't include it, but what an amazing inclusion. Look at the Master Chief 2600 sprite.
Jesus Christ.
So good. I kind of want to play that now. Also in 2010. Somewhat outdone by Halo 2600. Halo Reach came out. That's a good game.
Yes, it is.
Are we going to include Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, or we'll just move on?
No. Yeah, we'll move
Halo
on.
4.
Because it's good by default.
Yeah, good by default. Halo 4. I think it's all right, but my beef with it is it Call of Duty itself, so I think it's a meh.
Okay.
If you're happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember thinking it was not terrible considering it was a new developer taking over, but whether that would hold up now, I don't know. Maybe I would look back at it now and just
I think that's the first Halo to introduce sprint, which felt odd.
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought that was in Reach.
Oh, could be. I guess we'll maybe find out.
Maybe.
Halo Spartan Assault, which is a top-down shooter. I'm going to put it in the meh column. I'm assuming you've not played this.
Never even heard of it.
The one I have never even heard of is Halo Spartan Strike that came out in 2015. Let's see what that is. Oh, it's a sequel to the top-down.
Okay.
I suspect it'll be a meh, but for fairness, maybe
I don't even know if we should count these.
Yeah. So
what are they?
Let's leave this part.
Are they mobile?
So
what are they?
Do you remember when Microsoft started releasing mobile games? I think it was one of those, and then it eventually released on console. It is on Game Pass for anyone listening to this podcast that wants to check them out. It's a top down. So when Alex and I were briefly doing the Gamertron stuff, which was essentially just a Winner's You with a different name.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, I wanted to do, so I had an idea for a YouTube video series that was like, I can't remember what I called it, but basically the idea was I would play a game and the rule was that I had one life, and once I died, that was like the character was dead in real life. I'm sure I've got a video recorded somewhere of me playing Halo Spartan Assault, trying not to die, and I think I get like 2 levels in, die, and then it just goes off. So I obviously just thought, this is shit, this is not working, I'm not making this interesting, and I just moved on with my life.
Master Chief is dead now. Yeah. It is over.
The other one, the one that I actually thought was interesting, because I actually think I picked it up from a Guardian article. A guy had started playing Skyrim, and he was like, I'm doing one life only, and it was about him just trying not to die. And he spent a lot of time just like crouching in a house, not doing anything, making bread.
That's like Rife, right?
Yeah,
accurate.
Let's remove the top downers then. So if we remove the top downers, we're at a 4-3. In 2015, Halo 5 comes out. I think that has to be a meh. That's a meh. Halo Wars 2. I don't think we can count that, I guess, because neither of us have played it or have any knowledge. We've got Halo Wars 2: The Awakening. What is that? Let's have a look at that. Awakening is an entirely new chapter of Halo Wars. Okay. Don't need to talk about that. Halo Fireteam Raven. Don't need to know about that. Halo 2 anniversary. We don't need to discuss that. Halo Infinite in 2021.
God, fucking hell, that's 3 years ago already. A meh?
God, this is painful, but it's a meh, isn't it? Because it's the moment-to-moment gameplay of Halo Infinite is fantastic. The idea of making it an open world was great. They just didn't make it feel.
They didn't finish it.
It didn't feel real, did it? And they didn't finish it. And the multiplayer is really bad.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's a meh. Which means it's 5-4 to the meh.
Well, I guess it's not a good franchise anymore.
Oh, fuck. We've
got a whole podcast about Halo Infinite, by the way, everybody.
Technically, we included Halo Wars, which neither of us have played. So,
yeah, if we're talking core,
it's
like
a
style,
yeah, it's
like core Halo gameplay that's not some kind of spin-off, into a different genre, then yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's finely balanced, and the next one better be fucking good, I suppose.
That's upset me, Alex. I thought this list was going to make me feel better about myself, but no, it just means we've got to play Atari.
Remember, we weren't saying. That's effectively if we were saying it was further. If it was lopsided towards the meh, we said there was no bad.
It's not
so
a bad
it's not
franchise.
Bad.
It's just not a good franchise.
Yeah, it's just become mid.
I suppose that's it. Is there anything else you want to discuss? Have we missed anything?
I don't think so.
We've covered 2's in the books.
Yeah, we're just at some point in time we'll go and have a go at the third one.
I can't wait. I assume we have to wait for some sort of anniversary because that's the Alex way. So hopefully we can find an anniversary.
That is the Alex way.
Hopefully we can find an anniversary to eke in there at some point.
Well, we're 3 years away from an anniversary of that. I don't know if I could be bothered to wait that long.
No. Well, the other thing we need to get in, we're not there yet, but the other thing we need to start thinking about, which won't be Halo, but we are fast approaching the end of the realistic summer of Resi. So
yeah,
we may have to think of what becomes our summer game of choice after that.
Yeah.
Other than that bombshell. Anyway, next up, we have Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, which for many is the highlight of the Metal Gear Solid franchise. That's right, Alex. I've never played this one. Have you?
No, not really. That was initially released on the 17th of November 2004. So just a few days ago when this podcast was recorded, but we are celebrating another 20-year anniversary.
I'm extremely excited because we've actually inadvertently gone on a bit of a Metal Gear Solid mission. So I was having a look back through the games we played. This is our second Metal Gear Solid game this year. And we've just missed it, but it's our third in 14 months. So basically we've played three. This will be our third in roughly a year, which I'm quite excited about. I've really enjoyed going back and reappreciating the Metal Gear Solid.
Absolutely, yeah. I cannot wait to properly sink into this and see what all the fuss is about. Exactly. 20 years after the fuss was there.
My only memory of Metal Gear Solid 3 is that I was at a house party with some friends drinking. What's called an empty in Scotland. I don't know what it's called in England. It's when the parents are away, so you get your mates round and you get drunk and have a party when you're at school.
I would have only ever called it like a free house.
Yeah, okay. Same thing. Anyway, we had an empty, so we were all round, and the person whose empty it was down in the basement playing Metal Gear Solid 3 while we all had a party upstairs.
Why did he even let you in?
Why he invited us round? No, absolutely. Yeah. So that's so I remember going down at one point and seeing him playing the game. No idea what he was doing. I think he was crawling through some grass, and that is the entirety. So this game, like unlike Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, which I had played before, this is going to be a whole new thing for me.
Yeah,
which I'm very excited about.
So you're playing the Master Collection, Volume 1
I think
version.
So I'm about to go and buy the Steam version on CD keys. So I think that must be right. Do you know what? I'm actually going to check if it's on GOG because I am a big fan of GOG. I wish more people used GOG. Let me have a quick look because it's $8.99 I think on CD Key, so it's got to be cheaper than that. Oh, I've accidentally opened the app. Oh, now it's like fucking locking up my laptop. Right, GOG. Metal Gear Solid.
Is this one of the cases where they, once they released the Master Collection, did they remove the original versions from sale? Is that the deal with this kind of shit?
Yeah.
You could, of course, just emulate the PS2 version on a PlayStation 2 emulator.
I'm going to think about that after this podcast and see how I land on it. My thinking was, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check if it's playable on Steam via Steam Deck because I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, that's true.
If it's not, then all the gloves are off and the piracy boots are out.
Yeah, what David's saying there is that he's going to buy a 3DS and play that version, lest we forget Metal Gear Solid's Snake Eater 3D.
Oh my god!
Yeah, with horrendous controls.
Is it
absolutely horrendous? Yeah.
And you're going to play the PS3 version, is that right?
Yes, from the
which is meant to be the best way to play that game.
Yeah. Yeah, from the Legacy collection.
That is such a cool collection. So good.
Comes with like a full-on book in it as well.
I'm sure I looked it up and it's annoyingly expensive to buy today as well. Yeah,
I believe so. Because this has got almost every single thing on there, including 4. And it's got all the original Metal Gears as well.
What TV is it hooked up to? Your main TV?
My PS3?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one here.
Not your CRT.
No. So yeah, that's where I played Metal Gear 2. So that's where I'll be playing Metal Gear 3 as well.
Exciting.
Very.
Oh yeah, very much looking forward to it. Which I suppose brings us to the end of another episode of the Winners U podcast. If you liked what you heard, and even if you didn't, why not give our numbers a bump by subscribing to us on your podcast feed of choice? Or if you prefer to consume our podcast in a visual format, you can head on over to YouTube and search for our Winners U podcast, where you can sub. That's my Scottish accent. Can't not get words out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. If the podcast isn't enough for you, you can also follow us on the website formerly known as Twitter at WinnersUPod, and you can even send us an email and tell us how wrong we are by writing to winnersupod@gmail.com. Alex has Twitter at SuperThrillix, and I'm over on Threads as discussed. Just search for David Smiley and I'll pop up and you'll see a lot of pictures of snow. If you're
and people having a go at him for it.
Go at me. If you're one of the young ones and also have TikTok, head on over there and search for WinnersUPod if you so wish. Alex, any housekeeping?
Where are we going to be at for this? The Hall of Fame, Video Game Hall of Fame at VG_HOF on Twitter or VGHOF. Now on Blue Sky. We are also on Blue Sky, by the way.
Blue Sky seems to get a nice little bump. I'm going to have to go and have a look at there and see if it's got better.
Some people on there.
I really like the Blue Sky app, and apparently owner of Mark Zuckerberg, that's his name, owner of Facebook, said that they've been actively making the algorithm on Threads delist or sort of chuck down the algorithm for people that are talking about news. So a lot of news sites are saying, well, what's the point in us being on there? Which is why pickup on there hasn't been so high, whereas Blue Sky doesn't have that, which sort of explains. I do like the Blue Sky app. It just didn't seem to be alive when I went over there last time.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure it's just to do with Elon Musk being a propaganda merchant for Trump, who should not be doing that in a position that he is, the global communication platform.
Apparently in the UK, a third of Twitter users have now kaputted out, which I think is nice. I like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing because he's not a good human being, unfortunately.
No.
The only good thing is Trump never gets on with anyone for very long, so they'll fall out soon enough.
Yeah. Oh, he'll be dead soon enough. Don't worry. I'm not planning to assassinate him, but I'm just saying he's old. That's that. And even if he isn't dead, his brain will be it's on the way. So let's all just hang in there for that.
Fucked already, mate.
Yeah. It's already 90% mashed potato in there, and outside on top of his head as well.
Probably
but anyway,
just McDonald's now.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, you were talking about.
So we just had our. So they'll be out by the time you hear this. We just had our 4th episode where we go back and mop up, as we call it colloquially, between the team. We sort of mop up the games from all the previous 9 or 10 episodes, and we get to force into the Hall of Fame losing games that we have selected.
What? So you can go right. 8 lost, but it's going in anyway. Is that or do you have to pick 4 and then one of the 4 goes in?
Yeah. So what we do is, like, obviously every episode of the Hall of Fame is a category. So this time we had stuff like games featuring turnips and best of British and games featuring pumpkins for the Halloween special, shit like that. So what happens is we order it. So you get to choose your game in order of who had the most votes in total across the episodes that we're covering. And then once somebody picks a game from a specific category, no one else can go back in there and pick from that category themselves. So to give an example, where is it? Where's my spreadsheet?
I don't think I'll ever not be sad that a Tournament of Lies disappeared. Just like it just went away one day and never came back.
That was a real shame. It's such a good podcast, man.
I'm very much enjoying. So while you're looking at Jeff Gersman is doing, he's playing every single game on the NES and ranking them. And he's up to like 350 at the moment. It is so fun.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
It's great.
So on YouTube, is it?
Yeah. But I mean, like, be warned, each video is like 3 hours long.
Oh my god, he's done 353-hour videos on NES games.
No, so like within a 3-hour video, he probably does like 3 games or 4 games, maybe.
That's fall asleep.
So I dip in. Yeah, it's a fall asleep thing, and I generally dip in and out, and I watch the ones that I see he's got a game that I'm like, oh, that's either interesting or I'm aware of. Like he played Friday. He played a Freddy Krueger game that he was just angry at for about 50 minutes, and it was quite entertaining just because he hated it so much. Yeah,
that sounds good. Like a less performative angry video game nerd, because he used to do NES games mostly, didn't he?
Yeah, I kind of thought about trying to do that with the Dreamcast, just because like I said, the Dreamcast is not something, like, with no intention of ever actually finishing it. I was just like, I could just randomly play a Dreamcast game and just keep ranking them in my head until I get to the end. Anyway. Sorry, you were telling me about yours. Carry on.
Yes. So for example, right, if somebody, we had an episode on handheld games, and the nominees for that were Phoenix Wright, Persona 4 Gold, and Gravity Rush and Tetris. So Steve won with Tetris, obviously.
Thank fuck Tetris made it in.
Yeah. So for example, if Rob on his go had picked Persona 4 Golden, then I would not be able to put Phoenix Wright into the Hall of Fame. So that's how that worked. Okay. Anyway, I had quite a tough decision to make, and I actually did not.
Wait, explain that again. Sorry, explain that again. Why can't you put Phoenix Wright in?
Because somebody would have already taken a game from that category and forced
Tetris
it in.
Went in. So if someone picked another game from that list, you couldn't then pick it.
Yeah, so it kind of like it gives a bit of spice to it. There's a bit of not trepidation, like a bit of a danger to it, I suppose.
Playing a bit of defensive driving. I was reading the Retro Gamer magazine. It was talking about defensive driving on Ridge Racer games. That's in my head. That's what you've got
yes.
As a feature, you're defensive driving. You're trying to pick games.
Like you could totally fuck somebody over if you went
block someone off. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What I'd for.
Yeah, so luckily I didn't. I'd already won the sports one with Tony Hawk, so I couldn't block off Rob with FIFA 20. So
you're not allowed to pick from a category you won.
Well, I wouldn't be picking the game I nominated. We have said that you can pick somebody else's if you really want, because I'm pretty sure Steve wants to put Monkey Island in for Rob. But in this scenario, like from the games featuring pumpkins episode, I didn't. So Sonic Adventure 2 won that. So I don't know how. I could have picked Silent Hill 2, but because Simon apparently Secret of Mana is one of his top 5 games of all time and has pumpkins in it, I purposely did not pick Silent Hill 2 because I was going before him to allow him to put Secret of Mana in, and he was very appreciative of that. So I didn't put in Diddy Kong Racing or Yakuza 0, and I don't really know why, other than I felt like Max Payne, which is the game I did force in, feels like it should be in a Hall of Fame for obvious reasons, where Diddy Kong and Yakuza 0 are probably still a bit too Alex's niche loves to be truly Hall of Fame right now. So I picked Max Payne. We also had Secret of Mana go in, Championship Manager, Rob put that one in, and Earthworm Jim was the one that Steve forced in. And then we go through and pick all the other categories that are coming up in the next like 10 episodes. So that was it's like an admin episode, but it's somehow quite entertaining.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh, our Christmas special is going to be games featuring snow. You might need to help me with that.
Oh my god. I feel like probably the ones that I would pick, like Banjo-Kazooie, that's already been up.
Yeah, it's already in, yeah.
Yeah. I think like Mario 64.
You could say any Mario game would work.
Yeah. Mario 64
a lot of Zelda games,
because I like how you can fall and get stuck with your head in the snow. Is always
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
and
that is so broad. I mean, you could even pick like Life is Strange, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
I'm upset
because you can't have Christmas games because there aren't any. So I tried to think of something a little bit more.
Yeah. Why are
open
there
to having?
That's so weird that there's no, like, given that like in movies, Christmas games are such a tentpole part of the year.
Yeah.
Christmas games, Christmas movie. I did say Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Why are Christmas games not a thing? I mean, there's even Halloween games are a thing.
Yeah, it just seems like most of the Christmas games are like 16-bit era, and then most of them are like you're playing as like Santa or something, and they're all horrendous.
There must be a Home Alone game, I guess. That's a Christmas game.
Fucking terrible.
Die Hard.
Really terrible.
Can we start that old argument?
Well, if it has snow in it, the second one snowed.
There must be snow in a Die Hard game.
And I've already put Donkey Kong Country in, so I don't need that. Or have I? Did that get? Yeah, that got in.
Let's have a quick Google, and if you think it's interesting, you can include it. Games with snow.
Somebody might pick Sonic 3. That's
load of pish.
Got a pretty iconic Sonic.
Yeah.
Because we've got Sonic 2 and Sonic 1 already in there.
The Red Dead games have got snow in them.
Red Dead 2's already in the Hall of Fame, so somebody might pick the first one. I don't know. Is Skyrim in? Yeah, Skyrim's already in as well. This is a problem that we have now, where not only
that's a sort of cult. That's like, I was going to say cult classic, but I think I've got such a soft spot for Days Gone, but I feel like
Days Gone is in the Hall of Fame.
Is it right? Okay.
Because Rob forced it in the third mop-up episode. He put that in because that was up. He put that in when we did this 7 out of 10 games. That was his nomination, and it didn't win because the winner of that one was Lost Odyssey, which is a 360 JRPG. That was Simon's one. But yeah, amazingly, Rob picked Days Gone as his, like, I'm forcing this in the Hall of Fame. I couldn't believe that. He had Mario Odyssey as one of his options, and he picked Days Gone.
Whatever. Prime.
Have I nominated that? I feel like I've nominated Metroid Prime.
Fahrenheit. I fucking love that game.
Yeah. Yeah. I have nominated Metroid Prime before. Fuck. I mean, so that rule there we have there is you cannot renominate a game in the year that you first nominated it. So I'd have to wait till next year to nominate Metroid Prime again. So I'm kind of struggling, even though there's loads of games with snow in. I'm struggling to think of ones that either aren't already in or ones that I actually like.
You really want to think, right, that deserves a place.
Yeah.
I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn, I like that, but I don't think you do. Uncharted 2, I assume Rob's had a go at getting that in.
Yes, he has. That was in Superior Sequels. He tried to put that in. And it lost to Half-Life 2.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to argue with a Half-Life 2.
And again, he didn't put that one in when he had the free hit because he chose Days Gone.
Days Gone.
I said to him at the time, like, you've just ditched Uncharted 2. He does this all the time. He puts one in and he goes, I wish I hadn't done that. Well, you didn't have to. No one forced you, bro. So for his championship manager, he ditched the chance to put in Persona 4 Golden, Horizon Zero Dawn, Final Fantasy X, Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, fair enough. Championship manager is quite important.
Yeah,
probably would be in there.
Yeah.
No one's ever going to ever play it ever.
No,
but
it's important by the old FM, which is probably the same thing. It's just a different.
I think
a
so.
lot of the
yeah,
same developers even are the same. A lot of the development team are the same. Sorry.
Let's have a look at the best snow levels. That might get us a good idea of some shit here. Yeah, see, Ice Cap Zone, I'm pretty sure is Sonic 3. What else we got? Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, of course. There's like the price stuff where you're sneaking about in the
of course. Oh, right, I'm gonna put that in the old lock that in the brain. Halo 3's already been nominated.
The Last of Us, I assume's in there.
No.
Well, there's plenty of snow.
Feels like Rob might do that. Oh, Canehurst Castle. Oh, I've already put Bloodborne in. So that's fine. God of course, God of War 2018 or whenever it was.
Super Mario 64, I love you. I mean, I love you in memory. I don't actually want to ever really play you very much.
Yeah. Great Bear Island. What the fuck is that?
Snow in The Witcher 3, definitely.
Some of these, whatever I'm looking at here, has got a terrible list. Bug Snacks at number 6. Fuck off.
Get Bug Snacks fucked. There must be a
Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
That's a game I need to get back to at some point. I very much enjoyed that, what I played of that.
People seem to really like it. The one in It Takes Two.
Yeah,
best winter levels in games.
It Takes Two. I think I started playing it with Scott and it was really good, and then we just sort of drifted off.
Of course, Metal Gear Solid has snow in it.
Metal Gear Solid has snow in it, yeah. Because you sneeze as well when you get cold.
Yeah, you do. Of course, any fucking snowboarding game, I guess. Lost Planet, Ice Climber. Yeah, SSX.
Best winter levels in games. Banjo.
Done. Good on them for putting that first.
64. Sonic 3. Yeah.
Someone has to say Sonic 3.
Yeah.
It's not going to be me, but someone's going to. I think every Mario game probably has something snowy in it. But we've got a lot of them in there now.
Yeah, I mean, like they've even got like penguin suits. So yeah, it's a thing.
Oh yeah, Mario Galaxy. I probably could do. I might do that.
Yeah.
So without Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Let's have a quick look at.
By the way,
sheets.
When we do,
let's have a look at the games we've covered and see what.
Okay.
What snow levels there are.
If you can spare the time, I am potentially going to suggest to the lads that you join us instead of Steve for one episode, because our first game of the year is always games from the previous years. It's a de facto game of the year episode, but it just goes in the Hall of Fame. Steve doesn't have any of the modern consoles, I think. And if he does, he doesn't buy any games for them. So last year he put in Sonic Superstars as his nomination because he got it for Christmas and played it for a bit. But this year, I don't think he's played a single new release. So I might suggest, if you're willing to come on, that you take his place.
Yeah, I'm willing to
because you have at least played some fucking games from this year.
I think that's actually it's actually probably my forte now, is like dipping in and out of things rather than long-term commitment. So yeah, I'll happily dip into something.
Of course, if you come on and take Balatro, then you're not coming on. So
Right, Bioshock, no snow because it's underwater. Medium, pish. Gears of War. Is there snow in Gears of War?
I don't know if there is in the first one. I don't think so.
There's no snow in Doom.
There's snow in the second one.
There's no snow in Portal 2. Sea of Solitude in the water. There's no snow. Resident Evil, I don't think there's any snow. Resident Evil Village, there's no snow. Rogue Legacy, I don't think there's snow because you're in a castle.
There is in Rogue Legacy too.
We didn't finish that though, did we?
No, it's not very good.
Limbo, Streets of Rage, Left 4 Dead, Death's Door, Super Mario World. There must be snow in that.
Death's Door, I remember that.
Death's Door was great. Parasite Eve feels like the whole thing was snowing. Alien Isolation
was in
space. I don't know. I feel
no, Parasite Eve might have snow in, you
know. I don't know. That's a hard one, actually. I remember we were running through like a park, and there's no snow in the park. Alien Isolation, Super Mario Galaxy, there will be snow. The Final Station, I can't think of any snow. Return of the Obra Dinn, no snow. Max Payne, there's definitely snow, but it's already in. Halo Infinite, I assume there's snow somewhere. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Firewatch, no snow. Inscription,
quite the opposite.
Yeah, no snow. Binary Domain, no snow. Super Metroid, no snow.
Is there no snow?
I don't think so. I can't think of any.
No, you're probably right.
There is in the GameCube game.
Yeah, that's the one that I've failed to get in previously because people are fucking ignorant.
Symphony of the Night.
Oh.
Is there snow? There must be snow in Elden Ring. I can't think of any right now. Yeah, there probably is. Ice giants and pish like that. Yeah, of course there is. Wolfenstein 3D, no snow. Medal of Honor Frontline, no snow. I think there is snow in that game, you know. Mario Land 2, don't think there's snow. Wario Land, Praise in space. Resi 5 is in Africa.
Yeah, no snow in that one.
Resident Evil 0 is singing on a mountain in the rain.
Rain, yeah.
No snow. Luigi's Mansion, no snow. Scorn, no snow. Metroid Prime, yes, there's snow. Diddy Kong Racing, yes. Wind Waker, is there snow in Wind Waker?
No. There is in Twilight Princess, but not Wind Waker. It's too sunny and watery.
Yeah. Ragnarok, there's snow.
Yes, too much. Yeah. Just everywhere.
Dead
just
Space,
snow.
No. Dead Space 2, no. Titanfall 2, no. Donkey Kong Country, yes. Donkey Kong Country 2, yes. Resi 4 remake, no.
No snow in Resi 4.
What about when you get right up the mountain and have to take that cable car? Is there snow up there? No.
Oh, I don't know. Good question.
Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, don't think so. Shadow Complex, no. Bolt Gun, no. Banjo, yes. Mario All-Stars, yes. Resi 2 remake, no. Resi 3, no. Resi, no. Metal Gear Solid, yes. Simpsons Hit and Run, no. Or is there something Christmas? Layers of Fear, no. Fear, no. Alan Wake, no.
No.
Super Mario Brothers Wonder, there must be. Max Payne 2, yes.
Yeah.
Alan Wake 2, no. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, it is all snow. Robocop.
It's in the name.
Don't think there's any in Robocop. What a cool fucking game Robocop was.
Yeah.
Batman.
That was a nice one.
Don't think so.
No, there is in Arkham City though. But we do have superhero games as an episode coming up, so I don't know if I want to waste an Arkham game before that.
Metal Gear Solid 2, yes. Halo Combat Evolved, yes. Prince of Persia.
Is there in Metal Gear 2? I don't think there is in 2. I think it's just one when you're outside Shadow Moses.
It's all in the oil
tanker
rig
thing, innit?
Yeah,
the oil rig,
right,
yeah.
No. Yeah, Halo Combat Evolved, yes. Prince of Persia.
It's not snow, mate. It's bird shit. That's why you keep slipping in it.
That's true. Prince of Persia, I can't remember any. Shovel Knight.
No.
There must... No. Crow Country.
Yeah, there is in Shovel Knight. Sorry, I was talking about Prince of Persia. Yeah, there is in Shovel Knight. That's an interesting one.
And Resident Evil 2 OG. And then I haven't got round to recording the rest. But that's nearly where we're at. Because that goes right up to August.
So, okay. So we've got Modern Warfare. probably Mario Galaxy. Shovel Knight. That's the contenders so far.
Shovel Knight was so good.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's one where you fight that Blizzard bloke.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you, when you're looking for this list, are you just going like, has it got a fucking snowflake in it, or is snow a mechanic?
No, just if it has some snow. Because I mean, for pumpkin games, I went off the fact that there's a shelf in the pantry in the hotel of Silent Hill 2 where it says there are pumpkins here. I mean, that was as spurious as it gets. They all got super pissed off at me that I even nominated Yakuza 0 for games with turnips in it, because I found out that miso is made using a Japanese turnip to make miso sauce or something, which is used in some dish you can eat in Yakuza 0, and they were all fuming that I managed to use that as a way to have a turnip game. So I better not piss them off.
I just hear legend in that, to be honest.
You got to play the game.
Exactly, you got to play the game. Don't blame the player, blame the game. Is that the?
Yeah, I'll do. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, you got, and you, dear listener, have got to play the game being Metal Gear Solid 3. Fucking go play that.
And on that bombshell,
like I am.
He has been Alex, and we have been Remaster, and I'm out.
Keep gaming, Metal Gear.
Metal Gear.